Godspeed, brother. Thank you. Thanks so much. Welcome to our 18th annual awards ceremony. And as usual, I would like to begin by asking you all to stand for the presentation of the colors. If you will please cover your hearts.
Forward march. Colors post. Order arms. Forward march.
If you'll please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First, let me express a thank you to our Honor Guard members who posted these colors today. Officer Mark Cutter, Officer Jason Jungmeyer, Officer Rob Nabb, Officer Mindy Nace, and Officer Carrie Wills. Thank you for a job well done. There are a number of special guests that have arrived today, and I really appreciate you being here in support of police services. To this table here, we have our mayor, Doug Hutchinson, city manager, Darren Atterbury, our municipal judge, Kathleen Lane, city attorney, Steve Roy, council member, Lisa Pawpaw, Ben Manville, our council member, and Wendy Williams, our assistant city manager. To the people that are seated to my left over here, they got preferential seating. Chief John Mulligan from the Poudre Fire Authority, CSU Police Chief Wendy Rich Goldschmidt, and Lieutenant Scott Harris, also Lieutenant Chris Wolf, Windsor Chief of Police John Michaels, and I know you brought some guests, I just don't know who they are, sorry. In the back, okay. Special guest from the FBI today, our special agent in charge out of the Denver office, Jim Davis, thank you for being here, and Supervisory Special Agent Todd Pooler. Sitting over here, the others, Sheriff Jim Alderton, Majors Justin Smith, Andy Josie, Bill Nelson, Chief Luke Hecker from Loveland. And I'd like to take just a moment, one person who almost always makes it here and tries very hard to make it here is Ern Hudson. And I don't know how much you all know about Ern's on the list and trying to get on the list, I should say, for a liver transplant. He's in pretty poor health, and I just ask that you keep him in your thoughts and prayers. He's a good man and very supportive and friendly to this agency, so I thank you and I honor him. So, this event each year wouldn't come off without an awful lot of work by our awards committee. They found out this year just how difficult this task really is. And I think each one of them would tell you it isn't easy trying to sit and look at the judgment of officers for what they do in the field, dispatchers, other individuals, and say, is this worth an award? With the primary impetus to give the award that it was of value and to keep those awards special, to keep them so that they really mean something to everybody here. The committee this year, I'd ask you to stand. Of course, some of you are along the back wall and are already standing. Committee Chair, Sergeant Dave Pearson, Sergeant Daniel Murphy, Officer Greg Beaumont, Detective Mike Boward, Officer Sean Giddings, Officer Jackie Pearson, Dispatcher Donna McWhorter, Record Specialist Anita Daniels, Administrative Clerk Creisha Romero. Please join me in thanking them for all the work they put into this. I would also like to extend a thank you to the staff here at the Senior Center. It's the first year that we've been here, and everything looks wonderful. It seems like we can never quite get it right. The year we take CSU, we have 500 extra chairs. The year we take here, you're standing along the back wall. So I really appreciate the fact that you're here, all of you. It's a great turnout. You know, even in difficult times, which we all know we are facing economically in this community and across the face of the nation, frankly, it is very important for us to recognize what people do. In fact, it's probably more appropriate now than it ever is. It's easy when times are easy. You can always do something, start another program. You can do something that makes people feel good about what they've done. It is a day like this where things aren't as clear. We don't know for sure where we're going to end up, economically or otherwise, but the fact of it is you came out today to honor the actions of people that are good people. This agency is full of a lot of good people. I'm very proud to be here, and I thank you for taking the time, especially the members of the family. It is incredibly important to each of these people that you are here to be part of this and to recognize what they have done. Most of you know that are in this business, it has been last year was a very tough year actually for law enforcement. Policing took one hit after another, 4 in Washington, 4 in Oakland, all at the same time, 2 in Pittsburgh. Across this nation, we had quite a year for loss. And although this is not the week of the National Police Week and putting more names on the wall, I'd ask you to observe just a moment of silence and the name and memory of all those that died this past year. Thank you. Today we have the distinct honor and pleasure and you'll hear this twice later, or actually once later, of being able to honor one of ours who was severely wounded this last year, and we just thank God you're here to get it. Thank you. When you come up here, a couple logistical matters real quick. Once you get up here on the stage, you're going to find a blue X in tape in the center. Step to the blue X. Face the front. The idea in that is that your family and our photographers can get something in memory. Afterwards, after the program's completely over, if you would like, we can do a different stage shot. We've got 2 different photographers out and back. If you want it with just your family, that's fine. If you want one of us there, that's fine too. If you just let us know, let Judy, myself, somebody know. If not, then not. That's fine too. So, as we begin, I would like to ask our Mayor, Doug Hutchinson, to come up and open it up.
Well, good afternoon. This is a great event. I think I've hit every one of these things in my 3 terms as mayor, and I'm delighted to be here to express my thanks and my appreciation. I think one of the greatest qualities of humankind is a quest for excellence. There's so many of us that really try to do things well, and we strive to do things better. And the epitome of the epitome in my mind in that quest for excellence in humankind is service. Service, and that's what you're all about, and that's what you dedicate yourselves to, and that's what many of you provide some sacrifices to. So I wanted to express my appreciation on behalf of the people of Fort Collins for the service that you provide to us for public health and safety. I am in my, I'm now kind of a lame duck. I'm in my last part of my 3rd term limited out. So I get to join the ranks of the unemployed again in about 10 months. And this has been a highlight of being mayor, is being part of this kind of organization and this kind of city that provides the kind of service that you provide. So I have really appreciated that. This will be my last time, so it'll be my last opportunity to publicly say thank you so much, and thank you to the families that provide the support that's an essential part of what you do.
before I go into the next, Darren, would you come up here, please? One of the things that I have come to find out.
Stand on the blue.
Stand on the blue, yeah, that's that X there, yeah. One of the things that honestly I've come to understand the longer I do this job is at times we at this level, we don't say thank you enough. And one of the people that without a doubt going back so many years with buildings, funding, all the things that have made our jobs what they are and the type of community this is, Darren didn't know this was coming today, but I wanted to take an opportunity on behalf of Fort Collins Police Services to give him a recognition of the work that he has done. The city manager's job, I remember when Darren got it, I was asked by a couple council people at the time, are you interested at all in being a city manager? Would you consider it? And I said, did I look like I'd gone crazy or something like that? It is truly in so many ways a thankless job. It is one of those where people in the community don't appreciate and understand all that you do. It's about an 80, 90, 100-hour-a-week job. You know, it's never ending. And the point is, when we get that opportunity, from behalf of myself personally and the people here, we would like to take a moment and say thank you for all that you've done in your tenure to support police services and community leadership overall, because it's there. You don't always have to agree. You don't always have to like what happens. We don't always understand the whole story. But I do appreciate what you give back to this community, and I've got something I want to give you. This little stand says, to Darren A. Atterbury, City Manager, in grateful recognition of the community leadership and the support for the Fort Collins Police Service area. We would not be where we are without you, signed by me in this June 2, 2010. It has our badge embossed on the top of it. So I would give this to you and say thank you very much.
Well, so I don't know how they kept this as a surprise here. My heart is racing about 1,000,000 miles a minute. I appreciate this department very much. Try and spend a lot of time in the police building. We have a great team. We have one of the finest police departments in the country. I've been in a lot of different regions in this country and really, really proud of the department. We have a great chief. We have a great executive team. We do not have a lame duck as a mayor, I will tell you that. He will work until the day he steps away from office. Great leadership, and you guys are awesome. I promise you I will have this in my office with pride. I appreciate you guys very much and the work that you're doing, so thanks. Thanks, Dad.
We have changed things this year. I'm not going to stand up here and read to you all the things, the citations that have been done, and I know that's going to break several of your hearts. I heard it all year long. But before we get into the actual ceremony of presenting that, there's some people seated behind me that I would like to formally introduce. First, stand Captain Don Vaggi of our Investigation Services, Captain Craig Dodd, for the moment, of Patrol Services, Director Joanne Sizemore of Information Services, Project Manager Rita Davis. These people make up most of my executive staff, and most of them have made it up for a number of years, and in some cases since the day I got here. Over the years, it becomes an interesting balance when you have a team that long, that a lot of times I found the same thing that I found in working with Darren, is that I don't take the time always, I'm not as good at it as I should be, to recognize the hard work and say thank you. This, too, is somewhat of a thankless job. Believe me, I do hear from time to time that all of you don't exactly agree with everything they do. That shocks me. But, you know, it doesn't mean we don't say thank you. And the one thing that I have learned in the 13 and a half years I've been doing this, no one does it alone. I can have ideas, I can have direction, I can have vision, whatever that might mean, but it doesn't happen without these people. And it hasn't happened without these people for many, many years. So at the same time, I want to recognize Darren for what he's done for the community in this department. I really genuinely want to recognize these people on behalf, first and foremost, of myself, for the help, the assistance, the education they have given me, and also on behalf of the agency, because we darn sure wouldn't be here without you. It just doesn't happen that way. So, Don Vaggi, I give you this award, a recognition, and what it says in grateful recognition for the many years of leadership that you have provided to the men and women of Fort Collins Police Services as an executive on my staff. Signed by me, given this date. Thank you so very much. Director Joanne Sizemore. Well, it says about the same thing. And if you wonder why she's smiling, she gets to retire in about a week and a half. She's one of the lucky ones. You've made it through. You've done very, very well. And I am so proud to have been the first one to make the Director of Information Services a civilian position. You've worked 31 years in this city, I believe. And after that length of time, I just say thank you for your dedicated, constant support and work for the people that work here. Thank you. Rita Davis. Rita's one of those that was here the day I got here. She'd been hired by the last chief. She wasn't doing nearly what she's doing now. We recognized early on that Rita's job, more of a marketing director for this department and as the face that goes out there and talks to the press constantly, something you are all most thankful for when we don't ask you to do it. But I thank you for all the support and the years of help to this agency and direction. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you very much. Captain Craig Dodd. Captain Dodd has done something that most of us actually kind of stood back and went, why the hell would he do that? Craig has always been one of those that in my world is kind of a free spirit. He is very unafraid of trying something new, something different, and looking at his life and saying that, where do I want it to take me? Something I think all of you would be better if you do look at. Look to the next step. Look where you want to go. Some months ago, actually 18 to be precise, Craig said, you know, one day if Joanne does retire, I'd be very interested in doing that. Craig's been with the organization 26 years in a sworn capacity. I told him laughingly at the time, yeah, you realize you got to resign your commission to do that. And he said, well, we'll talk when the day gets here. When I went to him on May 11th and said, Joanne has just announced to me that she's going to retire, and she's going to retire, her last day of work will be June 18. He looked at me and I said, as a man of my word, I just need to tell you, that job will be coming available. Within about 2.5 weeks, he came back to me and sat down and said, I'll take it. And I said, you do remember the part about resigning your commission and all that kind of stuff? And the answer was, yeah, I'm ready for a different phase of my life. I'm ready for something else to happen. I'm ready for the challenge. We had a long talk about why, and I will look at each one of you and say, I respect his reasons. They are genuine. They're the right reasons. They're what's best for him, his family, and frankly, very good for this organization. People of Information Services have already told me how excited they are to have his style of leadership coming, and I'm impressed that they feel that way. So Craig, I give you this for all the work that you've done for this organization and for my staff, the friendship, the opinions, more than one opinion, but all those, and they were all for the right reasons at the right time. I just want you to know I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. I was going to present to Tom McClellan one of the same things as kind of a, he retired at the end of the year. Of course, he never left till last week, I think, but he retired, and I was going to present one of those to him because he too has been part of my staff for so long. And the only one up here that is now on the staff brand new that hasn't gotten one of those is Captain Jerry Schager, who you all know. Your day will come, just not today. So please be seated. Okay, let's begin with the agency awards. We're going to try something different this year, as I said, and I'm going to ask the staff to step in and actually read the citations since they had a great part in making this happen. First one I'd like to come forward is Officer Bob Younger. It is a little used category. It is one we have awarded before. It is the Humanitarian Award given to a police employee for developing or contributing greatly to a specific person or community affairs program through his or own personal time. Officer Bob Younger, thank you. Captain Dodd?
In the mid-1980s, several law enforcement officers created a program to assist at-risk youths. The program was titled the Laramie River Valley Rendezvous. Each summer, youths from our community are afforded the opportunity to interact with police officers by participating in camping, rafting, fishing, and hiking in the mountains to the west of Fort Collins. Bob Younger started with the program in 2001 as a volunteer. For several years, he was a paid staff member. However, since 2005, due to budget restraints, Bob has volunteered his time to organize and run summer activities, research and write grants, and also raise money from private donations to support the program. Bob is currently working on a grant that would support the program for the next 3 years with the hope of building a permanent facility and expanding the program to other areas of the country. Bob was nominated for this award by his supervisor, Sergeant Jeremy Yance. In the nomination, Jeremy wrote, "I asked Bob what motivates him to work so hard for this program. Bob stated, quote, 'In my mind, there are very few kids who are not salvageable. We need to make a connection with our community, and what better way than to interact with kids who do not have adult role models to help them be successful.'"
Bob, on behalf of the agency, it is great pride that I give this to you. You and I worked together as you were on the staff for the rendezvous, and despite what may have felt, we didn't want to lose the program. We just didn't have any real choice. And I thank God that you picked it up and you've run with it. You've made it a tremendous success. You've changed it. It is good for kids, and it is something that I'm very proud on behalf of the PD to hand you this award, recognize all the work you're going through, and you do every year. Thank you. Next award we will give is to Detective Jacqueline Shackley. Poor Jacqueline, she and Gary are sailing off of Ecuador as we speak. Can't imagine she wouldn't rather be here, but I would like Captain Don Vaggi to explain why we're giving her this award.
And I did offer to go with Jacqueline, but she decided to take Gary instead. So.
Go figure.
Detective Jacqueline Shackley was nominated for this award by her supervisor, Sergeant Russ Reed. In 2008 and 2009, she was assigned as the lead investigator for 2 separate homicide cases. Both of these cases were set for separate trials, starting only 45 days apart. As one of the chief deputy district attorneys wrote in his letter of appreciation, quote, "Detective Shackley went above and beyond her duties working on these cases. Her knowledge of the cases and her willingness to perform additional investigation was invaluable. She has shown compassion for the victims and an ability to work difficult cases. Detective Shackley represents the best we can hope for in law enforcement, and we are lucky to have her," unquote.
Although she is the recipient of the police chief's commendation for her outstanding efforts in the lead investigation of these 2 major cases, I would ask we recognize her anyway with a round of applause, please. Detective David Grant, if you would step forward. Sure, go ahead. It's not like your legs are too short, so. Captain Vaggi.
Detective Mike Boward, one of David's peers, submitted this nomination. Both detectives are assigned to the Property Crimes Unit. One of Dave's many responsibilities includes overseeing pawn shop activity in our community. In January of 2006, Dave was instrumental in bringing the Leads Online automated pawn system to Fort Collins. The Leads Online is a computer-based system that allows pawn shops to instantly load transaction information into a nationwide central database system. This system allows officers locally and across the country to easily search for items that have been pawned or which may have been stolen from burglaries, robberies, thefts, and other crimes. As the administrator of the system, Detective Grant spends many hours making sure the program runs properly, fixing problems, and working with the manufacturer to improve the overall performance of the system. As Detective Bauer stated in the nomination, quote, "The use of Leads Online by Fort Collins Police Services has been a direct impact on solving crimes and recovering stolen property for the citizens of Fort Collins."
David, for your initiative to come up with the program and to maintain it, keep it going, and in fact enhance it. I am proud to present you with the Police Chief's Commendation and thank you for what you've done. Would the following officers and special guests please come forward? Sergeant Russell Reed, Detective Neil Heisem, Officer Jared Kinsman, Chief Deputy Assistant District Attorney Mitch Murray. Captain Vaggi.
All four of these individuals were nominated by Captain Craig Dodd for their involvement in the investigation and prosecution of a homicide that had gone unsolved for over 12 years, but culminated in a suspect being arrested, convicted, and sentenced to life in prison without parole. This case began on September 14, 1998, when the police were called to the scene of a homicide on North College Avenue. There were very few leads, witnesses, or family members to contact due to the transient nature of the victim. During the first few days of the investigation, critical physical evidence was collected and preserved. The quality of the initial investigation and the proper preservation of this evidence enabled investigators years later to utilize DNA technology that was not available back in 1998 to find a suspect in the case. This eventually led to the arrest, conviction, and sentencing of that suspect. It was this exceptional performance by each of these individuals over the course of 12 years that led to the successful outcome of this case. As Captain Dodd wrote in the nomination for the family of the victim, truly appreciated the fact that we never dismissed this case, that for 12 years we kept in contact with them and showed compassion along the way. And finally, because of our genuine care, professionalism, and perseverance, there can now be some closure for them.
Gentlemen, it is with great pleasure that I present each of you a Police Chief's Commendation for your personal initiative, tenacity, and efforts to solve and prosecute a major crime in this city. It was the last unsolved homicide that we actually had in the modern day, and I very much appreciate everything you've done. The families do, and there are families that weren't even the family of the victim that has been so impressed with what you've done and has contacted us repeatedly to make sure that their voice was heard in thanking you for sticking with it and seeing it all the way through. So I thank you very much. Appreciate it very much. Do you want to say anything? No? I knew a lawyer would.
I have to fulfill that role and just be a little wordy, I guess. I want to say that there was a great deal of work that went into this investigation. It was a quality investigation from the beginning, but it didn't end there. The dedication and commitment to this prosecution continued for all these gentlemen and a large number of men and women in this agency, all the way through the preparation for that trial, through the trial, and even up to the sentencing. And I'd just like to say, you make it easy to do our job with that, and I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Jared and Neil, would you please stay? Our next award is being presented to the Crimes Against Persons Unit. I would like the following officers to please come forward. Detectives Siobhan Jungmeyer, Detective Darrell King, Detective James Lendertz, Detective Keith Maynard, Detective Jason Shutters, Detective Tammy Tracy. We have already mentioned Detective Jacqueline Shackley, who cannot be here today, and again, these two, Detective Neil Heisem and Officer Jared Kinsman. Captain Vaggi.
See, all these detectives think they're about to get an award. What this really is once a year we make them all come in their uniform because we want to make sure that they all still have them. So thanks, way to go, guys.
Well,
I forgot.
we have that whole size issue.
In December 2009 and January 2010, we were very busy months for the Crimes Against Persons Unit. Within a 24-day period, which included Christmas Day and New Year's Day, they successfully and efficiently investigated 3 major cases that impacted this agency and this community. On December 8th, there was a homicide in Northeast Fort Collins, and on December 25th and January 1st, there were 2 officer-involved shootings. As nominators, Sergeant Russ Reed and Sergeant Dan Murphy stated in their nomination, quote, "Handling one major investigation can be daunting. but 3 major cases in 24 days could easily overwhelm a unit. These detectives pulled together as a team, utilizing all of their combined skills to successfully investigate the 3 major cases," unquote. These efforts culminated in over 1,070 hours of investigative time spent. Several of the members of this team had 4 days off or less during that 24-day period. These detectives had to deal with large crime scenes, many witnesses, and knowing that a fellow officer had been seriously injured. Their entire unit was brought together by these 3 events, and their combined skills successfully brought forward all 3 of these cases to the district attorney's office.
It is with great pleasure that I award you with the Police Chief's Unit Commendation for your outstanding team effort and exemplary dedication to duty. And what it says on it is my commendation presented to the Crimes Against Persons Unit, December 8 through January 4, 2010, in recognition of your outstanding team effort and exemplary dedication over a 24-day period in which the unit investigated 3 major cases, which included a homicide and 2 officer-involved shootings that not only impacted this agency, but the community. During this time frame, the unit logged over 1,070 hours of investigative time on those 3 cases. So it is with great pleasure, and I thank you all for all that you've done. I will give this to Captain Vadji. Captain Vadji, we will have it hung in either near the unit or in our museum downstairs for display for all to see. Judy? I've asked Darrell King to stay up here for a moment longer. Captain Vadji.
Darrell King, who's a member of the team you just recognized, assumed the responsibilities as the acting supervisor of the Crimes Against Persons Unit during from December 25th through January 4th, when the 2 officer-involved shootings occurred. Darrell King was tasked with the responsibility to prioritize, delegate, and assess the needs of all of the officers involved in the shootings, the detectives investigating the cases, and also the needs of the agency and the community. As stated in the nomination by his supervisor, Sergeant Russ Reed, quote, "Detective King's performance was exemplary. He was complimented on his abilities, knowledge, decision-making, and the supervisory skills he displayed by not only his peers and supervisors within the department, but also by the officers involved in the shooting. He also received favorable comments from the FBI agents who were involved in one of the shootings."
This award is a commitment to excellence, and Darrell, I really appreciate and want to recognize the fact that without a second thought, when your boss, Sergeant Russ Reed, was out doping off somewhere, he was purposely snowed in somewhere, yeah. Bottom line is, without hesitation, you stepped up and you took over the supervisory duties on 2 specific cases and a 3rd in the interim, and we didn't have to ask. Captain Vadji just said, "Go do it, we need you to do it," and off you went. And you did it very, very well. It hasn't been done any better. You coordinated everything. Our interests were represented. The benefit of your team was represented, and the care and concern I saw for your people, and to make sure that where you could, you made it right by them, is a sign of a true leader. And I give you this award with a lot of pride. Thank you. Many times, citizens in our community assist this organization in solving cases. In this instance, it has 2 family members of one of our patrol officers. Maybe there's a benefit. No, I won't say that. Would Teresa Benavides and Amanda Benavides please come forward? The presenter for this next set of awards is my administrative captain, Jerry Schauger.
On January 12th of last year, 2 suspects walked into an apartment and shot 3 people. 1 victim died. One of the suspects was immediately identified because he was known to the victims. He was arrested the following day. Officer Tony Benavides transported him to the detention facility and noticed that he had a unique tattoo on the back of his shaved head. Several days later, Tony mentioned to his wife and daughter the unusual tattoo he had seen on the suspect. Both Amanda and Teresa immediately remembered seeing an individual in a Walgreens store the night of the shootings with the same unique tattoo. Officer Benavides gave that information to the investigators. The detectives then reviewed the surveillance tape from the store and were able to see the suspect who was originally arrested and also identify the other suspect involved in the shooting. They had entered the store just minutes after the 911 call for the shooting was first made. This video was critical to the decisions made by the jury in one suspect's trial and to the judge for the sentencing of the second suspect.
Both Teresa and Amanda, I really want to take a moment to say thank you, because so many times it's those small pieces, those small details that actually make a case come together. And in this particular case, what you saw with the timing and where they were really became a very consequential identification for us and for this case and for the successful resolution. So they say to your names in recognition of your willingness to assist this agency by providing crucial information that was used during the investigation, prosecution, and sentencing of 2 suspects involved in a triple shooting that occurred on January 12, 2010. And I would say thank you. You stayed fast the whole way, all the way through court and everything else. Quite impressive. So thank you very much. Teresa? We also have the honor of presenting another meritorious service citation to a citizen of our community, Mr. Andrew Banks. I believe, unless he got here by surprise, he wasn't going to be here today. Captain Schauger will tell you about this one.
Mr. Banks was visiting family members at a home in LaPorte on August 28, 2009, when at approximately 8 p.m. a small boy walked up to him and stated that he was lost and asked for a ride home because he was tired. Andrew took the boy to his home, made sure he was safe, then telephoned his neighbor, who was a police services dispatcher, to see if a young boy was reported missing. What he found out was that the boy had been reported missing by his parents at around 6 p.m. while they were shopping at the Walmart store for school supplies. This little boy had walked almost 2 hours until he asked Andrew for a ride home. As the nominator, Chrissy Carroll, stated, "The boy could have wandered up to anyone. He was lucky he found Drew. He may not have been safe with anyone else."
And we can all see the somewhat onerous outcome this could have had, but this individual stayed with the young man, reassured him, found his home, did everything anybody could possibly ask of him. So we have his award, and we will make sure that he gets it as soon as he's available for it. So let's have a round of applause for him. Following officers, please step up here. Officer Greg Beaumont, Officer Boyd Sleeper, Sergeant Craig Horton. Captain Dodd, if you would.
Sorry. On the night of November 3rd, 2009, an emergency call came into police services from the port of entry on I-25. Colorado State Patrol troopers reported that 2 port of entry employees were being held hostage by a truck driver and requested assistance from us. When these 3 officers arrived on scene, the suspect was armed with a knife, standing motionless and holding one of the hostages by the arm. The second hostage was only a few feet away. The officers entered the port of entry and were prepared to fire if the suspect made a threatening motion toward the hostages. Officers directed each hostage to move away from the suspect. The officers then ordered the suspect to drop the knife, which he did, and he was safely taken into custody. The nomination submitted by Lieutenant Hal Dean stated, quote, "The suspect was overwhelmed by confident and competent police officers who knowingly placed themselves in harm's way to save the lives of 2 citizens. The hostage taker later admitted he wanted the police to kill him."
This is one of those no good deed goes unpunished awards. It is a commitment to excellence, and what I say about that is that this particular event raised a lot of questions in our department. And they were good questions. They're the kind of thing that we look for and say, what can we learn from this event? Does anything in this business ever go precisely as we train it every single time? If you know where, maybe that happens in the FBI. It doesn't happen out here. You know, the bottom line to it is that, in my view, 3 officers went into that situation. It was highly charged. It was very dangerous. There was a hostage that we have spoken to since then who has more than told us exactly what he felt about their work and what they did that night and how he felt once they arrived. They went in, they deployed, they engaged the individual, and 3 people walked out that night. Nobody shot, nobody dead, nobody cut, and 3 officers never having to have fired a shot. It may not be textbook, and we will learn from it, and we will work on our training, and we will talk about this to make sure we understand where these types of incidents can go and should go and how we'd like to do it. But I have a genuine thank you for Sergeant Horton for the direction you did give, for these 2 officers, for the control you gave. The reality of it is everybody went home safe that night from both sides. That's a success to me, folks, in almost any way you want to cut it. So I want to thank you all 3 and give each of you a Commitment to Excellence Award. Our next awards are the medals that we will present to the officers who acted above and beyond the call of duty and knowingly placed themselves at significant risk. I would ask Detective Gar Hago, Officer Marcus Hopkins, and Sergeant Daniel Murphy to please come down here. I would also like to ask FBI Special Agent in Charge James Davis, Special Agent Todd Pooler, Supervisory Special Agent Todd Pooler, and Sergeant Paul Wood to please come forward. Jim, Todd?
Everybody see me all right?
Stand up, Jim. Yeah.
Chief, thank you very much. This is a great honor for us to be here today and have this opportunity to present some very small tokens of our esteem and respect and appreciation to 4 members of this police department. You guys, please understand that we really value our relationship with this department. We only are able to do what we do up here because of our relationship with you guys. These awards are for these 4 officers, but understand that if we could, we'd like to give everyone in this department something. You guys have been great for us. We had a kidnapping out of Brighton, Colorado on or about December 31st, right before, I think it was right before, late on the 30th. We tracked the kidnapper and the victim up into Wyoming. The victim was able to nice, thanks.
One little attention, Todd? It's Todd Pooler.
That's going to cost him. The victim was able to get away in Wyoming, and we had information that the subject had headed towards Fort Collins. We called Fort Collins Police Department. You guys were right there for us, as always. These officers are going to be recognized by the department here in a minute, and I don't want to detract from that at all. But suffice it to say that you guys and these officers served us greatly in resolving this issue, and frankly, in so doing, faced the most significant challenge a police officer can ever face, and performed as well as anyone could hope. And we really appreciate it. Todd's going to read the awards, and then we'll give them out here.
This could be my last act as a special agent with the FBI.
Could be.
He's not laughing either, so. Okay, these are awards from the Department of Justice, and they're signed by our director, and I'll read to you what the award says. It's the Federal Bureau of Investigation is proud to recognize, and it'll say the officer's name, the Fort Collins Police Department for your dedication and contributions to a joint law enforcement operation carried out by your agency in cooperation with the FBI. Your skills, devotion to duty, and ability to work closely with other law enforcement officers were responsible for a significant part of the success achieved in this priority investigation. And the first officer I'd like to recognize is Detective Gar Hugo. And the second officer is Sergeant Dan Murphy. The next officer is Officer Marcus Hopkins. And now the last one is Sergeant Paul Wood. I'd like to take a minute to say something about Sergeant Paul Wood. Like my boss was saying, we rely heavily on the police departments in the area to carry out our mission. Paul was somebody that I knew I could call and rely on morning, noon, or night. I had called him numerous times in the middle of the night, and he never hesitated to call me back and get us the help that we needed. So on top of the incident that they were involved in, I'd like to give an overall appreciation to Paul for everything he's done for the FBI. Paul.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, guys. Paul, stand fast. You were the nominator for this. I think you should be here. Captain Vaggi.
Now I'm doing it. On January 1st of this year, our agency was contacted by the FBI to help assist in locating a suspect who had kidnapped and sexually assaulted his former fiancée. The suspect had released the victim in the morning, and the FBI had received information that he may be in Fort Collins and was armed with a handgun. This suspect had a lengthy criminal history, including charges and convictions of kidnapping, sexual assault, and assaulting police officers. All three of the officers responded to assist in the search around the transit center, as it was believed he would try to board a bus. These officers observed a male matching the age and build of the suspect walking toward Old Town. They continued to observe the suspect and follow him until he disappeared by going out the back entrance of a coffee shop. The officers returned to the transit center to see if they could find him again and discovered that he was hiding in a nearby dumpster enclosure. As the suspect was given commands to put his hands up, he left his hiding place from an opening that the officers had not previously seen. The suspect drew a gun from his waist and pointed it at his own head and refused commands to drop the gun and stop moving. He then started to lower the gun and prepared to point it towards the officers. The officers realized the extreme danger they were in and fired their weapons. The suspect eventually died from his wounds. The nominator, Sergeant Paul Wood, stated in the nomination, quote, "Many criminals just like this suspect with similarly lengthy criminal histories have killed police officers during this last year. By shooting the suspect, they stopped his deadly and violent actions, which, if allowed to continue, surely would have resulted in an innocent person or another officer being injured or killed," unquote.
Gentlemen, for your exemplary actions and bravery, I am most proud to present to each of you the Medal of Valor. I want to say something here also, and that is simply that many times the question is asked, you get a police-involved shooting, we stand you up and we put a medal on you. We don't award people because they shoot people. We award people because they have the tenacity, the intelligence, and the training to go out and put an end to a problem at times. No one wanted to have to go out and kill this individual, and we're not awarding that tonight. We are awarding the bravery and the fact that you stood your ground. We are awarding the fact that you did it in a way that you all are safe and no other community member was injured, harmed, or in harm's way after your confrontation with Mr. Cox. So I am most proud to present each of you a Medal of Valor. Oh, no.
Just want a minute of your time, Chief.
Not my time.
We are
I devour.
we are short-handed out there as far as manpower goes. One thing will solve that: the radio traffic of shots fired. When that happens, it rains blue, and everybody comes your way, which is nice. I'll speak for the other 5 of us up here today that when something bad happens to you, it's kind of nice to get the phone calls and checking in and being there for you, whether it's meals or whatever. Some people say it's a thin blue line. I don't believe that. I think it's a thick blue line. You have citizens come up to you, stop you. You have people hear about it and send you an email, text. My phone burned up for 3 days after that. I get sent home, I'm supposed to sleep, and I end up having to drink beer and tell stories. We never wanted to end that way that afternoon, but that's just the way it goes sometimes when you have to catch bad guys. I just want the citizens of Fort Collins to know that we got your back. Thank you.
I wanted to take a quick minute and just say something about these 3 guys. As a supervisor, one of the most difficult things there is to do, and I think Todd would agree with me, is send other people into places where they could be hurt. And that was what I did that day, was send other people into a position where they could be hurt. These 3 guys down here, and I could not have picked 3 better people to send in that situation. They handled it professionally, appropriately, and exactly the way that we have trained and that they have trained others to do. So just one more round of applause for these 3 guys.
Could I please have Sergeant Richard Ziegler and Officer Alan Heaton here with me? Captain Dodd will read the citation.
As Chief Harrison mentioned at the start of the ceremony, it's been a difficult year for law enforcement officers in our country. The incident that happened on Christmas Day 2009 demonstrates that fact. Our agency received a call from 2 women who arrived at their home, and while entering their home, they heard a door being shut in the house. Since they knew another roommate was out of town, they decided to have a neighbor check the house for them. Everything appeared normal except the door to the bedroom of the roommate, who was out of town, was locked, which was unusual. The 2 women were concerned because their roommate had an ex-boyfriend who had caused some problems in the past, and they were in fear of him. As a result, they requested police assistance. The officers entered the home and checked the rest of the house before they approached the locked bedroom door. At the door, they announced their presence, but there was no response. The officers forced open the door and entered the darkened room. They were immediately met with gunfire, and during the entry, Officer Heaton was shot several times, but he was able to return fire. Sergeant Ziegler stepped into the room and engaged the suspect, and the suspect was shot. Sergeant Ziegler immediately radioed that shots had been fired and an officer was hit. He was able to secure the suspect and then attended to Officer Heaton. The nominators for this award are Sergeants Kurt Clow and Jim Byrne. They stated in their nomination that, quote, when confronted with a truly life-threatening situation, both officers chose to step up and face the danger, knowing full well that not only were they depending on each other, but also that the occupants of the home were in danger should the suspect get past them. It was later determined after the incident that the suspect had duct tape, handcuffs, 2 guns, more than 50 rounds of ammunition, and homemade silencers in his possession. The father of the roommate who was out of town later told the police, quote, we know that your officer likely took bullets meant for our daughter.
I'm just glad you're both standing here.
Me too, sir.
finish this part if I can. You both put yourself in harm's way. This isn't about me. This isn't about everybody else. This is about what you two did that night. You undoubtedly saved a life. What wasn't read is also there were changes of clothes, there were plans, everything else was available. Had they not reacted, had they not stopped the fight when they did, this wouldn't be the outcome. There are several things as chief of police I've had to learn to do in my life. And one thing I never want to do, thank God for your actions, I won't have to do. I thank you, I recognize you, I hope the citizens of Fort Collins do understand this happens. You made decisions, the police department is here, we are unafraid of doing our jobs, and we will continue to do them with honor and dignity, just like you two have done. You make us so very proud. I will give you, Dick, first the Medal of Valor, and then we'll make a dual award for both the Medal of Valor and, unfortunately but highly honorable, the Purple Heart to you, Alan.
Thank you. Thank you. I learned a couple things that night on Christmas. Number one is getting shot sucks really bad. I also learned something else. I learned something about family. Not only my immediate family, but the extended family of the police department and all the care they gave to my family and me for the outcome of this. I can't thank you enough. Everyone from sworn to non-sworn in that police department came together and really helped us through this event. It means so much to me and my family that everyone could do that. I just want to thank you so much. I also want to thank Zig for being there, to have my back that night. I couldn't ask for anybody else to be there in a gunfight that could have been any better. Thank you.
It's truly an honor and a privilege to be mentioned alongside these heroes up here. Heroes like Alan Heaton, Gar Hago, Dan Murphy, Marcus Hopkins. You know, that night in December, Christmas, Alan and I went into a house and we were performing a commonplace thing that we've done time and time again. This type of call happens fairly often. Nothing seemed any different. However, after we entered that room, then the uncommonplace happened. I am thankful that Alan was there to truly understand his sacrifice and the things that he's went through. He was severely injured and he was in a great deal of pain. As he says, getting shot sucks. But in spite of all that, the only thing that he had on his mind was staying there and making sure I was okay. In my mind, that's a hero. So thank you all for being here.
That ends, you can't follow that. That ends our formal presentation. As we are wont to do, I want to take a moment more to look at all the family members out here and say thank you so very much for being here today. It's interesting when we hold one of these and we ask people, Judy and Monica, secondly Alicia, and the others that all helped. But Judy had the lead on this one, and she was going out asking people, how many folks do you think you need tables for? And we were getting, well, it's going to be me and 10. It's going to be me and 10. It's going to be, wait, how many of you have 10 family members? You know, the reality, yeah, I know, Tony does, yeah. That's not all of Tony's family either. That's barely covers the kids. But, you know, the reality of this whole thing is that we do this job, and I think most of us do it because we really, really like it. It's satisfying, it's a fun job, it sucks at times in a big way. I went in there, and the first thing I saw Alan in the hospital, and I walked in and I looked up at him, and I won't repeat exactly what that word was because Darren won't let me. But I looked at him, and tubes running everywhere, and he had a little bit of blood here and there, and I looked at him and I said, how you doing? And he looked at me and says, you know, my arm's jacked up. Yeah, I know, they told me, believe me. You know, it's a long road back to recovery, but it's going to be there. It will be there. With your family, and I met just about all your family at one time or another over the next few days. You got a great support system. They should be honored. And I think that all the people out here who you've heard these wonderful things they've done, they all have a great support system. And it isn't just those of us who wear blue. It's the people who see them every day at the end of that shift. And as I said recently at an FTO graduation, what you get back, what we give you back at the end of a 10, 12, 14-hour day, 26, 8, 72-hour day, is many, many times a lot less than you gave us when that day started. I thank you for being here today. It's important for you to be here today. It's important for the support and for you to see the support. This is probably the largest turnout we have had for our awards ceremony in many, many years, both with the family members, but with our own. And to our own members out there, I thank you very much from the bottom of my heart for being here. It's important that you're here. It is important that they see it. It is important that the families see that there is a team, there is a cohesive secondary family that works here. Any success that all of us have known comes because we have the family support. It's that simple. If it wasn't for that, none of us would stay in this business that long. You wouldn't. You couldn't make it. You got to have that. So I thank you on behalf of Fort Collins Police Services, but mostly on behalf of Dennis Harrison. Thank you for being here today. It is so terribly important. It is their time, not mine. So since it's theirs, I'd ask you stick around. I know I'm the last thing that stands between you and the food. Most of the SWAT team is already sitting back there. Don't worry, they will give you some. But spend a little time. Appreciate these people. Appreciate one another. To all of our invited guests, I thank you so very much for being here. It is a good family, and it is something that we can rely on. It isn't just us, it's all of us. Thanks to the FBI for the special award for these officers, and that's all I've got. Please enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Thank you for being here.